Somewhere in another world, at midnight, inside the forest, someone is running away from his pursuers' warrior maids, determined to take him down. But he knows he has to keep moving if he wants to escape. Maids attack him, and their attack does not seem to have any effect on him. But the warrior maids won't give up that easily. They reveal that his name is Akatsuki Ousawa, an earthling summoned to the world of Alayzard, has recently defeated a dark lord who threatened the world. They surrounded him, determined to fulfill their Queen Listy's wish. They try to take him back to the castle by force, and Akatsuki knows he has to act fast. He uses his unique skill and defeats them by stealing their underwear, including the head maid Valkyrie. Just as Akatsuki is about to make his escape, Princess Listy arrives and also tries to stop him by confessing her feelings for him. But Akatsuki is determined to return home, saying now Dark Lord has been defeated, he has nothing to do in this world. After kissing Listy, he tells her wherever she needs he will come for her, and despite Princess Listy's feelings, he enters a portal and leaves her behind. After getting back, it is uncovered inside his backpack he has carried with him Miu, the Dark Lord's little girl who was entrusted to him by her father with his dying wish. Next morning, a strange car comes to his house to pick them. On their way, he tells Miu from now on pretend to be his little sister in this world. Together they arrive to enroll at the special school for people with special abilities. After a normal physical checkup, both of them are taken to the training ground to measure their combat abilities, where Miu proves to be extraordinarily gifted in combat-based magic, and knocked out instructed in one shot. At Akatsuki's turn, student council president, Kyoya Hikami arrives and asks Akatsuki to let him be his opponent. As Akatsuki agrees, he creates a huge ice pillar with his magic, and asks Akatsuki to break the pillar with his bare hand in order to pass the test. Akatsuki hit the pillar with his full power, but the pillar didn't seem to break. But Kyoya passed him and welcomed him into the academy, even though pillar didn't break. After that, it seems Kyoya has an ulterior motive and wants to obtain Akatsuki's power for himself. Later that night, remembering her father, Miu considers killing Akatsuki in his sleep, but on second thought reconsiders and decides to stay by his side for the time being. However, just as still asleep, Akatsuki defends himself in an unusual manner. The next day, both of them arrive at the school, and everyone's staring at them. In the classroom, one of their classmates warns them to do not to sit anywhere. And just then, on his first day, Akatsuki gets into a fight with class bully Onizuka over the seat. Akatsuki beats him, earning him the attention of the school's discipline committee, led by the student council. Later, while he is waiting for the student council, he sits on council president Kyoya's chair, making other members angry, especially student council vice president Haruka Nagas. And as Kyoya enters, he immediately attacks him but is stopped by other members. Then vice president let him go after warning him to not do it again, otherwise she will punish him personally. A few moments later, vice president comes after him because it seems Akatsuki deliberately aggravates Haruka by managing to steal her underwear. She attacks him to take revenge, but ends up losing her underwear again, and runs away in embarrassment. Later, while Miu and Akatsuki help their class president Kazuha Demoto in the storage room, Kazuha hears some voices coming behind from the wall and finds another classmate Izumi with another girl. The girl runs away and accidentally locked them inside the storage room. After some time passed, Demoto eventually needs to go to the toilet, and Akatsuki handles the situation by supernaturally controlling tension focuses on Miu and Chikage's bodies, using the logic that it will not be as humiliating for Demoto on the off chance that every one of the three girls wet themselves, which they then do. Haruka unlocks the room, and after beating him, the three girls bat together and end up becoming friends, leaving Miu to wonder if Akatsuki made himself the bad guy deliberately, so she could make friends. After the incident, Miu started ignoring him. At school, Akatsuki's actions have not gone unnoticed by the student council. They order Kazuha, as the class representative, to keep watch over Akatsuki and report his actions to them. Incidentally, she is worried about going to class with students so much older than she is, but Akatsuki cheers her up and tells her to do as the student council has asked, since it will not deter him in the slightest. Then he takes her to a manga cafe, where Izumi and Miu also follow them. While he is helping her to overcome her fear of feeling being as a child in front of other students in her class, Miu and Izumi try to listen to their conversation from the next room. Meanwhile, at their school, someone enters the control room and changes the power level of the low-level summoning monster. Later, during combat practice, the students are given an arm device, which helps them to create a suitable weapon for them. But it doesn't seem with Akatsuki, since he can't use magic. A low-level beast is summoned for practice, but students find that their foe, a low-level cockatrice, has been tampered with, and is now too powerful to handle. The beast instantly turns some students into stone. Kazuha, Miu, and Izumi try to stop the beast, so they can buy time for the students to evacuate. But the beast turns out to be much stronger than them, and Izumi and Kazuka become the stone as well, while protecting Miu from its attack. Then the beast attacked Miu, and when she is about her limits, Akatsuki shows up and pushed the beast away. Akatsuki figures out how to use his arms device by collecting other students' devices. He summons a large demonic sword previously used by Miu's Dark Lord father. During the fight, while blocking the beast's attack, his one hand also turns into stone. Then with help of his sword in one hand, he easily defeats the beast, and the student starts to turn normal. After that, Akatsuki finds the real culprit behind the incident is Tanaka, one of Onizuka's victims who wanted to frame Onizuka. Akatsuki deduces that Tanaka is much stronger than Onizuka, but for some reason hides his true strength. Tanaka attacks him and reveals his real intention is to destroy the whole school building with his magic from the start, and challenges him to defend it with his sword. However, Tanaka is subsequently frozen in ice by the student council president. Akatsuki returns to where Miu and the others are, and Miu collapsed due to overworking to heal the injuries of other students. He then let her rest and uses his unique skill to help her recover, and comes to terms with the loss of her father. Next morning, he got tensed after seeing someone's similar face belonging from an organization called Cocoon in the morning news. Miu asks Izumi and Kazuha about the organization named Cocoon, and they explain to her it's an organization consisting of powerful students around the world, and each member has power equal to their county's military. Basically, they help to rule the current world. Meanwhile, Akatsuki meets a Class A student, Kaito Motoharu, who attacks him to measure his strength. Later, Akatsuki joins Miu with Izumi and Kazuha on her first trip to mall, so Miu can make new happy memories. He sticks them inside the lingerie store by giving the excuse he is an expert in this kind of work. At first, he appears to be peeping on Miu, while she tries on bras in the dressing room, but his extensive knowledge of such things ends up being helpful, as he helps her find one that fits her perfectly, by changing her body posture. Meanwhile, Haruka is also there shopping for new underwear that she hopes even Akatsuki will not find easy to remove. But her all efforts go waste when he stole everyone's underwear. After that, everyone talks about their upcoming ranking exam, and the girls ask him to form a team with them for the exam, to which he agrees. Later, after the class, Kaito invites Akatsuki to come along with him. He takes him to the school's mechanical department and introduces him to the department's director. He requests the director to let him borrow something, but got rejected by the director. There, Akatsuki sees something and gets curious. He removes its cover and finds Sleipnir, a powerful magical bike that rejects anyone it deems unworthy of riding it. At first, Sleipnir rejects Akatsuki, but after learning from the director that his father rode the bike, he becomes more determined and decides to ride it by all means, and eventually succeeds in subduing it. Vice President Haruka comes to inspect the loud noise coming from the mechanical department, and finds Akatsuki riding the magical bike. However, when she attempts to remove Akatsuki from the bike to confiscate it as evidence, Sleipnir responds by disintegrating her clothes. Feeling pity for her, Akatsuki gives her his jacket. Later, some members of a terrorist group called Crimson Twilight attacked a hotel and took all the people's hostage, demanding to fulfill their wishes in order to free them. Haruka and the other two student council members Uesaki and Minami arrive at the scene and enter the building with Minami's skill. By making a hole in the roof upon arriving at the hostages' room with their abilities, they easily defeat the terrorists and free the hostages. However, one of the terrorists who is hiding between hostages captures a little girl and now demands to let them escape safely. As just that little girl shreds her tears, Akatsuki suddenly shows up and joins the student council in dealing with a hostage situation and succeeds in saving a young girl. Haruka censures him for being careless and arrogant until the young girl's mother mistakenly thanks Haruka for saving her daughter. Elsewhere in the building, Kaido violently deals with another terrorist, revealing that he may be more dangerous than he appears. Later, Haruka, who is starting to become attracted to Akatsuki, visits his house and returns his jacket to Miu. When Miu invites her for dinner, she refuses, because she is too flustered to face him personally. Meanwhile, in another world, Alayzard, at the meeting between kingdoms, Emperor Barum of Dizdia reveals that he finds Miu's location on Earth and proposes they should retrieve her as soon as possible. Back to Earth, Akatsuki, Miu, and all their friends go to the beach, where they come across a special game of tag, wherein you are tagged out if you lose your swimsuit. They join an Akatsuki chosen as an escapee. Instead of being his swimsuit removed, Akatsuki, using his considerable skills, succeeds in removing the bikini tops of every girl on the beach. The vice president, who is hiding inside the girl washroom from him, ended up losing her bottom too. However, Akatsuki is disqualified during his attempt to remove Miu's bikini, who is hiding in the water, as he leaves the designated game area. Back in another world, Alayzard, Emperor Barum accused Akatsuki as a traitor for helping Miu to leave the other world, so decided to send his envoy, Phil Barnett, someone from the Earth, to capture Miu. Back on Earth, the annual ranking tournament has arrived, a test to measure the strength of the students. Akatsuki gets excited after learning student council also participating. Their arm devices change their costumes suitable to their personality, though Miu feels a bit embarrassed about her dress. As the competition starts, a group of friends, Akatsuki, Miu, Kazuha, and Chikage, team up and easily dominate the competition by easily defeating other teams one by one. But the real challenge comes that evening when the student council, without their president Kyoya, comes to challenge Akatsuki, and he accepts the challenge to fight them alone. Vice President Haruka ordered the other two members to not interfere in the fight and attack him alone, but he easily countered her attacks and defeats her. The other two then also join the fight, but it's no help because all of their combined attacks didn't do any damage to him, as he completely overpowered them, and when he is about to finish the fight with his attack, Kaido interrupts, warning that the magic barrier that protects the students from being harmed has been sabotaged. If the fight continues, they may accidentally kill each other. Suddenly, an explosion happens in the direction where Miu and others are. Akatsuki rushes to find it. Moments before the explosion, Phil, who was searching for Miu, finally found her and arrives where Miu and the others are. Upon arriving at the explosion site, Akatsuki and others find Izumi and Kazuha injured, lying under the destroyed trees. Subconscious Kazuha explains to him that Phil was the one who attacked them and they were no match for him, and so lures him away from them. Miu run off by herself. Meanwhile, Onizuka tries to stop Phil from pursuing Miu, but as usual, Phil, who severely wounded everyone else who has crossed his path, Onizuka has no chance against him. Phil easily overpowered him in terms of abilities and power, and beats him badly as well. After beating Onizuka, Phil goes after Miu, and is finally able to capture her. Akatsuki, after giving Izumi and Kazuha first aid, leaves them to the student council's care, and goes after Phil alone. He finds injured Onizuka, who tells him Phil's location, then he asks Kaido to take him to the hospital before leaving. Elsewhere, as Phil confronts Miu, he reveals that Miu is to be freely executed for political purposes, and then attempts to sexually assault her. But just as all hope seems lost, Akatsuki arrives on the scene as Miu sheds a tear, and swears to make Phil pay for making her cry. Akatsuki, fueled by his determination to protect Miu, takes on Phil in a brutal fight. The battle between Akatsuki and Phil reaches its climax. After a vicious fight, Akatsuki emerges victorious, knocking Phil down, but the danger is far from over. Miu runs away by herself, believing that neither Alayzard nor Earth are safe as long as she is present, and jumps into the river. Akatsuki, not willing to let her go, jumps in after her and saves her from drowning. He talks her out of committing suicide, saying her father entrusted her to him to live without worry, but all his efforts would have been vain if she ended herself, and ends up kissing her, before collapsing from a poison wound he received from Phil. To save Akatsuki, Miu strips them both naked and helps him heal by sharing her body heat. But it turns out this was unnecessary as Akatsuki had been awake the entire time, much to Miu's embarrassment. Just when they think the danger is over, Phil shows up again, claiming he will no longer hold back against Akatsuki. The fight is not over yet. He summons a huge dragon and fuses with it, becoming an even more formidable opponent. To give time for Akatsuki to recover from the poison, Miu insists to fight the dragon instead. Kazuha and Izumi also arrive and tell Akatsuki that they will also join Miu until he fully recovers. Meanwhile, the student council vice president Haruka, and the other two members Minami and Iwasaki, arrive at the scene as Miu explains to them about the situation. They attack the dragon, and try to buy more time for Akatsuki. Kazuha and Izumi finally show up and join them in the battle. Everyone engages in a fierce duel with the dragon, but despite their best efforts, the dragon is too powerful. It defeats everyone and captures Miu. Just as all hope seems lost, Akatsuki recovers and rejoins the fight, and frees Miu from the dragon. Then, the dragon uses its breath weapon to obliterate everything around it, leaving the fate of our heroes hanging in the balance. However, Akatsuki protects his friends from the dragon's devastating blast, but at a cost. He loses his ability to summon his demon sword. Even without his weapon, he still decides to fight the dragon. Then Miu and Haruka give him their arm devices. The fight reaches its climax, as with the help of one extra arm device he manages to summon his sword and unlock its full power. In an epic final showdown, Akatsuki slices the dragon in half from nose to tail, defeating it once and for all. As the dust settles, the members of Cocoon analyze recent events and their impact on their plans. Later, Akatsuki and his team placed first in the rankings tournament, and are moved into the A class. Meanwhile, in another world, a soldier arrives, telling that the Dark Beast starts attacking, due to the sudden disappearance of the dragon, confirming Phil is defeated, which is quite a shock for Emperor Barum. He also added that now the beasts are about to invade Listy's territory. As Listy's kingdom is in trouble, she remembers Akatsuki and sheds tears. Back on Earth, Miu reveals the truth about herself as being the daughter of a Dark Lord from another world to Kazuha and Izumi. As Akatsuki realizes that Alayzard is in disturbance and decides to return there to check on the situation, Miu, Izumi, and Kazuha insist on going with him. However, Haruka and Kaido arrive just in the last moments before they teleported to another world. In the end, the two of them also end up joining them on the trip to another world. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel.